Hello to my fellow survivors. How are you guys doing today? I hope well. Me, it's like really late right now, and my kids are asleep, so I was like, let me just get up and make a video for you guys because I know I've had a little break. I haven't been on here for I think like about a week now, so I was like, time for me to get on camera again. Today is Thanksgiving, so happy holidays to everybody. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving was very chill, low key. I didn't really cook anything. I was just eating everybody else's food, but so that's I just spent time with my family and my kids and things like that. That's how my Thanksgiving went. So, but yeah, you guys, today we are going to talk about how breaking a trauma bond is actually breaking generational curses, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I actually have a video about how hard it is to break a trauma bond, but due to experiences and how I see other people's experiences and certain things that go on in my family and things like that, I have came to the conclusion that breaking a trauma bond, not only are you saving yourself, you're saving generational curses that not a lot of people can break. Not a lot of people can break it. Um, Narcissism and things like that is very common. It's very common in families, and toxic relationships and broken homes and things like that. It's very, very common in families. So when you learn to master certain things and actually break and escape a trauma bond and do it successfully, you should really give yourself a pat on the back because you did break a generational curse, and you have set the tone, for the future to come. So, you guys, if you want to hear about this mess, you already know what to do. Stay tuned, boo. Yes, you guys. So, like I said, breaking a trauma bond is breaking generational curses. So, when I say a generational curse, I mean, there are certain things that I may be a little uncomfortable to share, but then I do want to be an open book to, all of my fellow survivors. I don't want anyone to see this video and get offended, but this is just my opinion and things that I've experienced, things that I have seen being a member, of a family or just anything, you know what I'm saying? So, let me see where I can start. A generational curse. Let me just say this. I've been spending a lot of time with my grandmother lately. I'm actually over her house now. And she asks me a lot of questions about my marriage because I was in a toxic marriage. And unfortunately, I believe, a lot of my business got spread around the family, which, that happens in families, yes. But one thing that she said to me that really stuck with me is she looked me in my face and she said, the reason why I asked you so many questions about your husband is because it seemed like you got over him very fast, and it took me years and years to get over your grandfather. And it's gonna get me emotional. I'm such a big baby. But when she said that to me, it really hit me. And I just said, Grandma, it was very interesting that you said that to me. And that's when I knew, even though sometimes I feel like she kind of teases me about my marriage, and when she said that to me, I felt like that came from her heart, that she really admired my strength. She wouldn't just openly say, I'm really proud of you or anything like that, but when she looked me in my face and said, pretty much, I'm wondering, how did I get over it? Because she wasn't able to get over my grandfather as fast as I was able to get over my ex-husband. Even though her marriage came with 6 children and years, and definitely she put in more work than I did. I would definitely give that to her. But it was still a dramatic experience for her. My marriage was a very dramatic experience for me as well. But she did ask me, how did I get over it so fast? And I really can't answer how. I think I always say God, but I think that me studying things like narcissism and taking it very serious, and just having all this knowledge poured in my head that God gave to me, the fact that God chose me to give me this knowledge, and the fact that I hold it so dear to my heart and I'm very passionate about it. I feel like that I was picked to break a generational curse. I really do feel that way, because I know a little bit about my grandmother's marriage. I know, kind of toxic and things like that. I'm not gonna just call my grandfather a narcissist, because I'm not gonna do that. But certain things that I know about the marriage, I know that, like, my grandmother went through a lot of dramatic experiences. I'll just say that. It's hard to break a trauma bond. It really is. Because when you're in a very dramatic situation where there's children involved, love is involved, especially on the person that's getting the abuse, the abuser. It's definitely a lot of love on their end. When they're taken out of that situation, it is hard to just be like, I'm over this. That's hard for anybody to do. It's hard work. It takes hard work to break a trauma bond, because it's easy to just go back to what you're comfortable with, no matter how dramatic it was, no matter how. That's why, you hear a lot of stories of women going back even after they've been beaten or something like that, because it's a trauma bond. It's because you have been in that situation for so long. You have mistaking that treatment for love. You don't really know nothing else. Your brain has been on survivor mode. So when you are led to calmer waters, when you're led to calmer waters, your brain don't know nothing about calmer waters. Your brain only knows destruction and chaos. So it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of strength, and a lot of knowledge to break that. And when I say a lot of knowledge, it means I know not everybody is the same. Not everybody likes to get on the internet and research, whatever. But you definitely have to have an interest in what the hell is going on, and you have to have an interest in actually caring about fixing it. There's a certain level of self-love that you're going to have. You won't be able to break the trauma bond if you haven't been able to dig deep inside and love who you are. Because when you are able to dig deep inside and love who you are, it's impossible for you to take bad treatment, because you know who you are, you know your worth, you know that you don't deserve that. So when you are set in your head that you don't deserve that, you know who you are, you actually think that you are a pretty decent person, and you know that you will be a good asset to somebody. You know that. Nobody can tell you otherwise. You won't be able to take anything back that's not showing you in that light. I hope you guys understand. It's impossible. You have to dig deep inside and pull that self-love out. Pretty much what I'm saying is the first thing you have to do to break a trauma bond is you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, it's impossible. You will not be able to break it. You will not be able to break it. Yes. Definitely have to love yourself. Yes. And, back in the day, I will say back in my grandmother's days, I believe that women were a little bit more, I don't want to use the word codependent, but things were still kind of traditional back in those days. My grandmother was a housewife, her husband was a breadwinner and things like that. So, I was a housewife, my husband was a breadwinner. So it's like, when you are in those traditional roles, it may be a little harder to break it because your marriage is where your stability comes from. So I feel like back in the day, it probably was a little bit more harder to break the trauma bond because your marriage is your stability. When you, I don't want to say settle because I think being a housewife is one of the most beautiful jobs ever. But I will say, when you are comfortable just being that and taking care of your family is what brings you joy, and you're comfortable giving your, pretty much you kind of give your life to your husband. You do, because your life is kind of in his hands because he is bringing the stability. So when you are comfortable giving that part of your life to a person, um, it is kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. I don't like to look at it like that because I think it's a beautiful thing when a family can get together and do those traditional roles, and you know, and be comfortable. You know, nowadays, you know, people say, oh, well, you should, you know, have some money, put some money up, you know, just in case something happened, you know. Um, I guess that will be smart to do, but, you know, some people just, you know, live their lives, take care of their family, and not worry about things like that. You know, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. But the only reason I'm bringing that up is because when you're in that kind of situation, a trauma bond may be a little harder to break than, say, a woman that makes just as much money and has as much say so, and doesn't really, not comfortable, you know, giving up that part of her life, you know. Yeah. It may be harder for a woman like that to break the trauma bond. That's just common sense. But I was able to break it. Even I was in a situation where I did give being stable, like my stability. I did depend on my husband, you know, for that. I did. When I was freshly out of it, like when God guided me out of that marriage, it was kind of like, it was hard. It really was hard. I'm sure people looked at my situation and um, you know, thought I was gonna go running back because at the end of the day I was kind of left homeless. So, you know, of course you're gonna look at me like, girl, I know you probably wish you was back with your husband, you know. And even though he did discard me, but I made the final say so because I went no contact and I stopped him from contacting me. So I feel like even though he did discard me as far as putting me out or whatever, I feel like I still had the last say so because I stopped communication. I stopped playing those games. I wasn't gonna be anybody's game, you know. I knew that I was worth more than a game. So I feel like I broke the trauma bond because I realized I didn't want that situation anymore. And even though I was very, I don't even like to use the word codependent because I guess I'm just going to be honest with myself. I guess I was codependent in that marriage because, like I said, I was a stay-at-home mother, and my stability did come from, I guess, you know, my husband. That's where my stability came from. So it was hard to break it, especially getting that part of your life stripped from you. But I learned a lot of lessons. I think I went through that because I had to learn those lessons. God had to show me who I was, and I am a wife. You know, I know I'm not married or anything, but I feel like that is what. I wish I was just comfortable to just say it, but I know that's who I am. I know that's what God put me on this earth to be. That's how I feel, you know, and that because just I just know that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I went through that so I could learn what love isn't, you know, so that when it's time for me to be who I am, I would know what real love feels like. I feel like that can be part of breaking the trauma bond when you learn that lesson, you know, when you learn that lesson, that can be a part of breaking the trauma bond as well. Yeah. Yeah, so I know that's pretty much, I feel like that's just a part of me that's not going to go anywhere. I think that's just who I am, is a wife, whenever the time comes. I feel like the shit that I've been through, I would be, I would know what I'm doing, I guess. But anyways, yes, breaking the generational curse. I believe that it's all about self-love. I feel like it's all about self-love, honestly. You have to know. You have to know. You gotta know you are the prize, you gotta know that you're the prize. Like, because when you're in a very toxic relationship, you are getting beat up, not physically. Some people get beat up physically too, but when I say beat up, I just want everybody to know, because this is one thing I don't like either. I don't like when people look at abuse as like getting beat up physically, and that is abuse. Yes, it is. But I want you guys to know that emotional and mental abuse is very serious. I don't like when I talk about my experience to people and they tell me how they got knocked upside the head and all this shit, and then think that they really, I don't know. I'm not going to victim shame nobody, but I just want to know. I just want everybody to know, getting knocked upside the head, that's not the only form of abuse. And I keep telling everybody that, because that really pisses me off when people think that is the only way to get abused. Okay, you would be fucked up if that's what you think. So please don't think like that, everybody. And you can still go through a very, very severe case, okay, if you are being mentally tormented for years. Okay, that is abuse. I just want to put that out there. I know I'll be having my little rants, you guys, but I'm actually happy to be back on here with you guys, chatting it up. But anyways, back to the generational curse thing. Yes, it is a generational curse because, like I said in the beginning, broken homes and toxic relationships is very common. I know everybody knows about a toxic relationship. If you're not in one, you've heard of one, that's going to happen. But I think when pretty much what makes it a big deal is when you're able to walk away from it and don't go back, when you're able to walk away from it and don't go back. That's when you need to really pat yourself on the back, because you have done something that not everybody can do, especially if you're in a empath narcissistic relationship. That is hard. It is so hard, you guys. When you do it, when you break that generational curse and you were able to walk away from that narc and move on to calmer waters, I just want you to, what? Let's look at it spiritually, because I have really been opened up to my spirituality. I've been learning a lot about spirituality, and it has helped me do this. That's one thing that's really helped me. That helped me break that generational curse is opening up to my spirituality and not being just so religious. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys already know this. I was strictly off the book, strictly off the Bible, but I am strong enough to say that is not my life anymore. I'm not just strictly religion. Because when I was strictly religion, I was in that damn marriage, holding on to it like it was I'll be trying to think of something funny to say. I was holding on to that marriage. Like I shouldn't have been doing. I couldn't think of nothing funny to say. I shouldn't have been holding on to something so toxic like that. Holding on to it, just holding on to that marriage. Because the Bible, especially when, people say things about, how Sarah obeyed Abraham and things like that. Yes, Sarah did obey Abraham. Abraham was a very humble providing, law-abiding, magical man. Okay, he was worth that. Abraham was not a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? So, they say things like, Abraham, she obeyed. I don't, like I said, I think it would be a great, wonderful thing to obey a man and be safe and sound and shit and don't have to worry about certain things. Like, that's not a problem for me. It's not a problem for me at all. So, I digress. Anyways, when I was holding on to the Bible, and things like, because the Bible is very for marriage. There is, but they're not. But the Bible is not for narcissistic marriages. Like the story. There I go. Now I'm getting some of the story of Abigail. People used to, like I was in a very toxic relationship, like I always say, and when I used to confide in people, about what the hell was going on in my home, they used to always use the story of Abigail and how Abigail had a very toxic husband, Nabal, I think that was his name, and how she didn't stoop down to his level. She stayed humble, and God ended up, Nabal ended up dying, and she ended up marrying a king. People felt like that story couldn't apply to me because my husband was still breathing and was still breathing. I guess people thought that the story of Abigail couldn't apply to me simply because my husband was breathing. Okay, he didn't die. Oh, I'm not gonna say that. He didn't die, but the group that I was in, they said if he's still breathing, he didn't die. You gotta pretty much take the abuse, I guess. They didn't just say that, but that's pretty much what they're saying. And I was just like, okay, you guys are telling me about the story of Abigail, but I'm telling you that my husband is a very toxic man, and they were just like, you know what? To be honest with you, I don't even. I'm not even gonna try to explain that. But like I said, like the story of Abigail can still apply to me. It's still an inspiration to me, and I can still read about Abigail, how she went through hell. She went through hell. She was still a very, very humble woman. She did stay still obeying her husband. She did stay still obeying him, even though he was an asshole. I guess they felt like that story didn't apply to my life because I guess since I wasn't still obeying him, even though I actually was still obeying him. I was trying to obey him, but he threw me out. So I digress. Anyways, yeah, like I said, Abigail, her husband ended up dying, and she ended up marrying the king. And the reason I even brought Abigail up is because in the spiritual world, when you close out a very, very toxic chapter, the universe, if they feel that you're worthy, the universe will provide you, not just like somebody else, but like when you close out like a karmic cycle, pretty much. Like I believe that marriage that I was in was a karmic cycle for me. And I closed it out. So when you close out a karmic cycle, you paid off your karmic debt. That's what that means. Like, because, through life, you do build up karma. So I feel like that marriage was my karma. And I closed out that karmic debt. So the universe will reward you when you are able to close out that karmic debt and pay it off. I really truly believe that that's what happened to me. And I believe that I will be due good karma because I did it. I stuck in that marriage. I learned all those lessons. I applied it to my life and I closed it out. I'm not going back to that. So, and I'm not going down I'm not doing that again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to learn my lessons. So I feel like I paid off my karmic debt. That's how I feel. Like that's how I feel, you guys. So, I hope my titties. I'm sorry. My clothes still be a little too big, you guys. I went down to a smaller size and still be falling off. But, anyways, yes, that's how I feel about my life. So I try to think about it in the most positive way that I possibly can because I'm not going to let myself get to a place where I'm just so freaking like, you know, like, and another way that you can, I'm sorry, another way that, oh, yeah, I really want to explain this part because this is, okay. There's a lot of people that leave toxic relationships, right? Yeah, but when they leave it, you can still see that they're holding on to something. Like they still seem kind of maybe a little bitter. You know, some people maybe not really taking care of themselves. It just kind of looked like they're falling down and not standing up. I'm trying to explain it the best way I can. Like, you know how some people leave it, they may leave it, but it seems like their life is going downhill. Like that, like the relationship took such a toll on them that they can't move on in a better way. They have to like stay stuck or stagnant, or they have to like, some people let themselves go. They don't want to take care of themselves physically. They seemed, you know, when you're in their aura speaks bitterness, upset, depressed. You know, that's what their aura speaks. So not only, so yeah, they were able to leave the relationship, but they weren't able to leave it. I don't want to use the word gracefully, but I guess it's the only word that hymns, like gracefully. Like, not only do you leave the marriage, the relationship, you have to leave it, and that person has to be able to look at you like, I missed out. You can't leave the relationship broken, and I mean, you're gonna leave it broken for sure, but you can't stay broken. You have to pick yourself up. You have to get yourself together physically. It's not all about looks, no. And I'm not where I need to be either. You know, I'm still working on my little pouch. Yes, I am. But at least I have it in my head that that's what I want to do. You can't let yourself go. You cannot let yourself go. And not only physically, you cannot let yourself go mentally. You can't be so... You're going to have to look at that person, even though it's going to be hard. But you're going to have to look at that person like you're lost. You have to. You have to be like, you're lost. Because if you don't, you're going to let yourself go. And you're going to be thinking that is you're lost. And even though you're not going to say that, but it's going to, you will be able to look at that person like, you don't want nobody looking at you like you lost. No. It's their lost. And your aura has to speak that. You have to still be vibrant, even though I know you've been through a very, very tough situation. But you're going to have to get that vibrant person. That vibrant person has to come back. You're going to have to take care of yourself physically. I mean, you're not going to be perfect, but you're going to, self-care, you're going to have to do some self-care. You're going to have to. You're going to have to try to take care of yourself mentally. I'm still working on that too, you guys. I need to do a meditation routine, for sure. Meditation is pretty good. You're going to have to present yourself as it's your loss. It's their loss. Because it is. And they're going to have to know that by just looking at you. And it's not all about looks, no. But when you just have to still go through life and smile and be happy. And if you do get another relationship, show that person loving on you, you know, they have to see somebody else loving on you for sure. Because they beat you down so much, you guys, that they feel like they know your self-esteem is low when you were guided out that relationship. They know you weren't taking care of yourself physically, so they don't see you as a prize. They don't see you as a prize, and they look at it as it's your loss, that you lost them, even though they toxic as hell. Anybody that comes in their circle should just take off and run it. You know, they really should, but they still in their head want to look at you like it's your loss when your life has been saved by them just gone somewhere. You know, your life is saved, but they still want to look at you like it's you're lost when it's their lost. You know, I just want you guys to know that your aura is going to have to speak. It's your lost. And I'm venting again, but I'm just saying I had to throw that out there. It's their lost. Okay, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna close it out now. Um, I really enjoyed myself though, you guys. I love talking about this kind of stuff. You know, I hope I'm educating somebody out there. But anyways, you know, it is pretty late, so I'm gonna try to get me some sleep, y'all. I gotta take this makeup off my face, and yeah, I feel like I want to eat again. I probably shouldn't. I started to talk all that shit about self-care, huh? I know, but I'm hungry. Okay, I want some banana pudding. But anyways, like I always say, while life takes its course, always remember to just breathe. Ta-ta now.